what do you think? How do you think this is going to go? How do you feel about this? This concept of good belly. Good belly? The story is, this story comes from Dr. Karl Hammerschlag. Dr. Karl Hammerschlag was my psychiatry professor in medical school. He wrote The Dancing Healers and several other books. Karl went to South America to train with a shaman. And he's kind of a heavier set psychiatrist. You can picture him, got a booming voice, big voice. Super nice guy. He's a psychiatrist. I mean, yeah, there are some places where you can kind of keep on an asshole demeanor in the world of psychiatry. He's trying to do it differently. He goes to the South American shaman. He's going to learn something. The shaman looks at him and he says, "You can't be a healer." He says, "Why?" He says, "You don't have good belly." He says, "Well, I've got some indigestion. I definitely take some stuff for that." He says, "You won't be able to heal." He says, "Well, I have a practice. I mean, I see patients." Yeah, it's unfortunate for them. And here is this distinguished professor, psychiatrist, He works for the government, and so, and he's like, "Well, of course I can heal." "No, I can't heal." Like, "Well, what do I do about my belly?" He says, "You've got to get good belly." He says, "Well, what does that mean?" He says, "Well, if you have a full belly when you go see your patient, how do you feel?" It gets grumbly and uncomfortable. He says, "So you're paying attention to your belly. You're not present for the patient." "What if you don't eat?" "It grumbles and it rolls and I have this acid situation." "So you're thinking about your belly?" "Yeah, I guess I am." The guy says, "No matter what you're doing, you're thinking about that belly." He says, "You're kind of right." He says, "How do you do any healing?" Carl had to come home and figure out how to fix his belly. And now we talk about good belly. Like, "Hey, how you doing today?" "I'm not finding my good belly today." "All right, well, maybe you should go home for a while. Maybe you should go do something else." It's important because we have to be present. So when I go to a place, I'm a nature worshiper. I freely admit it. There's other things I worship too. Nature's kind of a big thing. And when I come to a place, I want to just immerse myself in the place. To the degree that you can you really grok this place?
Just smile when you do it.
Smile. Because of our marginalized status, it creates us to be able to be in a liminal place. Mm-hmm. That's a powerful place. Because first of all, you're different than who they've ever seen before. Because of that difference, there's already a set of expectations that you can do something different than every other practitioner they ever saw. Maybe because you don't walk in with a white coat, maybe because you don't have the same haircut as the dermatologist, because you're just off enough from that norm that there's possibility here. Mm-hmm. It's important. One of my students years ago just had a really stressful time after medical school. And first 3 years were just hard for her. She went back to New Jersey. It's an unlicensed jurisdiction for her, and she was just trying to really make it work. It was stressful, and so all of her hair fell out. Alopecia areata. She flies back to Arizona. We talked quite a bit about it. And so at first it's like, what can I do? What can I do to shave my hair? What can I do? I gotta get my hair back. Like, okay. The great thing is you're not gonna die from it. So the other thing is you have choices, right? You can wear any number of wigs if you're into that. I said, or you can just sport it the way you are. I said, this is part of who you are. This is part of what you have to heal in your life. This is your healing journey, and you just put it out on your head. So that's probably not ideal for a lot of reasons, but you know what? She started putting it out there, and she started treating people who had autoimmune diseases like alopecia areata. And you know what? 6 months after she lost all of her hair, she was busier than she could ever possibly imagine she would ever be. As she stepped into her power, as she was able to embrace sort of the who that she was becoming, she got to experience a different level of monetary gain, but also more than that, she got to experience like real transformation in the people that she was seeing, right? Because she was able to be present with them in a different way. My friends, your urologist, your dermatologist, your cardiologist is thinking about their golf game. They don't have good belly in a lot of cases. Do you know what the average age of death of physicians is in the United States of America?
55.
54 years old. You were very close. Here again, you're a plant healer. This is a different kind of an herbalist. This is not the herbalist who's walking around with their book in the back pocket going, oh, you got sniffles? Okay, I'm going to put you on a little bit of ephedra. That's the stuff. As if that was even available, right? We had the very good fortune a month ago or so, to hang with Mark Blumenthal. You guys know who Mark Blumenthal is? He's a director of ABC, the American Botanical Council. The guy's friggin' hilarious. Like, he will have you rolling on the floor laughing about the most ridiculous things. And so he's just finished up a long-term study that the American Botanical Council has done on the herbs that are in health food stores and the herbs that are in Walmart and the herbs that are in grocery stores. And what he found is that 70% of them are adulterated or out of date. He says, what people are going, he says, people go to their supermarket to get a bottle of echinacea. He says, and it might be 25 to 30% of the potency of any other echinacea that somebody got. I know. You know why? This is why we can't get funding for residencies. Medical schools are struggling. The naturopathic medical schools are struggling, and some of the herbal programs are struggling. Because the big corporations have noticed that the supplement industry was $146 billion last year, and is projected to be $196 billion over the next 5 years. And so, Nestle says, holy crap, we're going to buy Garden of Life, and they did. Clean Athlete, and they did. And what was the third one that they bought? I forget now. Rainbow Light. Oh no, Rainbow Light was bought by Clorox. That's at this moment, pharmaceutical companies are crazily buying up all of these these supplement companies. What would make that a good investment for them? They changed the standards. They changed the CGMP rules. They changed the manufacturing policies and the rules. And so, now it's hard for you to start a herbal company as an individual, accommodate the CGMP requirements, FTC requirements with your labeling, all of that. They've made it a much higher hurdle for small companies to go into business, which is a part of the process. They also buy up all of the raw materials when they have a big project coming along. So it's harder to get certain things at certain times. And sometimes they might just do that on purpose, just because. If you consider that it doesn't really serve those pharmaceutical companies, there's a lot of them, and a lot of your favorite companies have been purchased already. So check into who owns your company if you're using stuff that you're buying from a store. Most of us, like, I make a lot of my own stuff, and I know personally the people that make the stuff that I don't make. And I keep an herbalist employed at my office full-time, and she makes the stuff that we talk about and that I don't have time for, or we do it together. It's important because people think they can get on the internet and be an herbalist and go down to Walmart and buy some St. John's wort and start taking it, and then they're going to say what? These herbs don't work. And so here's where you come in. You're like, oh yeah, we need to let people know. We need to let people know that Nestle has purchased Garden of Life and that the quality of the products have gone down tremendously as soon as they put them into Walmart. And that the crap that people have available to them is not even close to the quality of Phoenix's freeze-dried cilantro. I mean, come on. Come on. That's innovation, right? That's brilliant. It's brilliant. Collect the sublimated water, use it back in your preparation to bring it up to a tincture. Well done, sir. Here's the thing, is that's what we do. That's what we do, right? And you know how you create socio-cultural legitimacy? There's actually a format for it. Innovation, which then receives local acceptance, which then gets diffused and then receives general acceptance. Whoa! Steps 1 and 2 are awesome. Stop there. Because we don't make a one-size-fits-all medicine. You know why we don't make one-size-fits-all medicines? Because they don't work. That's why the pharmaceuticals are only 40% effective. Because people are too much of an individual. You're too different than the next person. So that drug may or may not have the same effect in you. The same herb may not have the same effect in you. What makes a healer? Healing. Having to do it yourself. Eating your herbs. Collecting your herbs. Spending time in your garden, in your forest. Collecting the herbs. Sitting with them. Being with them. Creating a relationship with the land that you're associated with. The plants that are in that land. Creating that association gives you some insight, some intuition. And as time goes by, as you're able to tap into that intuitive place, your healing qualities go way up. Because now, it's not just authentically you, but it's deeply authentically you. Here's the elephant in the room for modern medicine. 12 years ago, 13 years ago, there was a big cardiology strike in California. They were out for a month. That month still is the lowest death rate that they've had in that state. Oh, holy crap, guys, we got to get back to work before someone figures something out.
Weird.
Yeah, weird.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. It's so weird. We are needed. Our communities need us. The people in our communities, they want the information that we can provide for them. Talk to them. Let them know that you're not just some wacky person who's living on the fringes of society, even though you might be, and that's okay. And that's where your healing power might come from, and that's okay. And we want that. But at the same time, it's a matter of networking and making it so that your presence is known. The problem is that we are an oppressed part of the culture, pushed out and marginalized and put into a category of, well, you're not really a doctor. Okay, so now what? I don't have that big of student loans, you get to say. You know? Plus, a lot more people coming in the future are going to be able to say that, will say this, have the same situation because enrollment's really far down. And we're about to have a mass number of physicians retire. In fact, an article I read last week says that we're going to have a really big problem in pediatric ophthalmology, specifically in the next couple of years, because there's not enough practitioners already, and a lot of those are going to retire. You know who does eye stuff really, really, really well? Plant healers. How many of you do eye things? Eye drops, eye washes. Okay. So my frustration is the rampant cases of imposter syndrome that people have in herbal medicine, in the plant healer world. Navajo have a philosophy, which is part of their cosmology, which is thought precedes language, language precedes reality. Basically, you are speaking reality into existence. It's not a new idea, right? The New Age movement has moved that into, like, ask for a card and you get one, despite children dying in Sudan from starvation. So, there's no equity in that kind of an idea. However, the Navajo don't take it that way. They take it as a more sacred act of creating reality, which means if you talk too much, you're making a really chaotic reality. Why? Because you're wasting a lot of your effort and a lot of your time. It's important, though, to know that, especially like these oral traditions, and Navajo is a long oral tradition, right? Before people became literate, the information that was passed down from generation to generation orally. And we are the living vestiges of an ancient oral tradition.